I'm furious all the time. What do you mean we've made $1.3 million today? It's a joke. Flip the computer. But you have to conquer the earth. So you have to be the guy who goes, okay, the wind's blowing in this direction, then I'm doing this. You have to come to life. You can't let life come to you, because if you let life come to you, then you're going to be living inside of a matrix and a system which is designed not for you to live your best life. It's designed for you to comply.
My point is, if you have no money and you're coming to me saying, I want to make passive income, why are you not making active income? Get up off your ass and work first.
If you spend all of your time sitting around people who talk about how to become powerful and influential and rich, guess what you're going to end up being?
Yeah.
Powerful, influential, and rich. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I could possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary, because I will never stay a loser. It's against my creed. It's not in my DNA. And you can't save yourself to a lifestyle.
No.
And that's the thing. So I have 36 cars, right? Let's take one of them. Let's take the Bugatti. That's 5.2 million. Let's do some easy math. Let's say you make $5,000 a month and you manage to live completely for free. You manage to walk to work for free, eat for free, don't need clothes, your complete life's free. That's 100 months. How 100 divided by 12, that's 70 something years. You need to work and save for 70 years to afford one of my 36 cars in one of my 7 houses. You can't save yourself to the top.
No.
You can only earn your way to the top. So the idea of saving money, a safety net, knowing that you can have peace of mind, taking care of your family or your children, all that I understand. But truthfully, your goal when you wake up shouldn't be like, how do I save more money? That's scared, that's fearful. The universe and God does not reward fearful people or cowardice. There's a degree of cowardice in how do I save more, as opposed to the opposite. Well, I'll just go take more. I'll just go make more. I'll just go make more. If it costs me $400,000 to go see Dan Bilzerian, fine, I'll just go make more money. And it's that attitude, it's that entrepreneurial spirit.
It's the abundance mindset.
It's the abundance mindset. So money for me is a tool, and I get whatever I want.
The brokey days were good days, bro, man. Like, I'd get McDonald's, and you're laughing with your boys. Yeah. The brokey days are great, and I'm not complaining about being rich. Obviously, I worked hard for this, and it's a fantastic life I live now. But I think without those brokey days, without those original days to compare it to, without that juxtaposition, then I don't think being rich would be fun at all. I think it's only fun because you can compare it to the days when you weren't rich. That's the only thing that makes it fun. The only thing that makes my $10,000 steak fun is that you can laugh saying how you never had 10 grand in your bank till you were 27 years old.
Yeah.
Like otherwise it's boring. Otherwise okay, steak. And I think if you're born with too much money, that you'll never truly be happy. I think you need the brokey days. They're the best days.
Most people are so uninteresting and so unremarkable that you could replace them online with a chat GPT bot and you wouldn't really notice. Genuinely, that's how boring most humans are. If you're special and remarkable and unique and you're famous or you do whatever, that's different. But most people you could replace with chat GPT by text, you wouldn't even notice. And that is a free application which is brand new. Imagine we're gonna be in 20 years from now. So we start talking about useless eaters. This has been discussed by very important, very powerful people at length. The same people who are trying to give you the vaccine are talking about the fact that the population of the earth needs to decline. Why do we need, they say it, Bill Gates says it. Why do we need to get rid of people? Well, machines will do it. So why do we need people sitting around who have hopes, dreams, aspirations? They want health care, they want safety, security, children, all of this garbage. We just need somebody to do X job, and a machine can do X job, so what do we need these people for? So then you start looking.
I find it weird that Hollywood was the first one to strike about it, but it was about actors.
Well, yeah, because have you ever asked ChatGPT to write a movie?
Like that?
Bro, it's better than anything you've seen in Hollywood in a long time. There's no woke bullshit. There's no trans, lesbian, black, double-dicked hero. So it's great.
You know what's so funny is that like this episode is definitely gonna like my account up, but I'm in for it.
And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, oh, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do, and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. I'm human, and that's life. And so yeah, am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke?
Yeah.
Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then, that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that.
By the way, hit the like button and follow my YouTube channel. I already work on the next video for you.
And life is a value exchange. Every friendship, every relationship, every business relationship, there has to be an exchange of value. If as you progress through life, if people stay in the same place, you're only giving value and you're not receiving any value back. And you have to be ruthless about those things. Like, I have a very curated circle and everybody in my circle is extremely useful and we're extremely successful. And it's a very motivating thing. If you're in a room full of ice cream experts and all they talk about is ice cream, how to move ice cream, how to sell ice cream, different flavors of ice cream, how you make ice cream, you're going to learn a lot about ice cream. If you're in a room full of people who are billionaires, and guess what they're talking about? Money. And guess what you're going to learn about? Money. I don't sit and have pointless conversations with people. I don't even know what people are talking about. If me and my friends meet, we end up talking about the earth and how it can pay us. That's what we talk about. And that's how we manage to make a bunch of money. So you have to be ruthless with your circle. And for people out there who understand this, a lot of people say they understand it, but they genuinely don't. But if you do and you are trying to progress your circle, you need to find a way to provide value. You need to either join networks like my one on corporative.com, or you need to find a way to provide value. I'll give you an example. In Romania, I was driving and I went to a town called Cluj. It's a very small town. I went in a nice car. And a kid came up to me and he said, I run the car spotting page and we take pictures of the Ferraris and Lamborghinis. Can I take a picture? It's like, yeah, sure. And anyway, he took a picture of it and then he gave me his business card and he said, I just want you to know, I don't even like cars. I just knew the best way for me to meet rich people is to take photos of nice cars.
It's a great story.
I was like, you're smart.
Very smart.
I hired him.
I'm not surprised.
He works for me. Yeah, he still works for me for this day. Yeah. He was smart enough to go, well, where's the money over there? Yeah. How do I get close to the money? Oh, they don't want to talk to me. But if I take cool photos of his car, he might want to talk to me. You have to find a way to provide value to people.
Yeah.
If you provide value and it's a value exchange, you'll do good. But yeah, I say this to people and they go, oh, but my friend, and we have a good time together. Well, if you're going to prioritize your friends by drinking and having fun, then you're going to have a bunch of fun with your friends. That's your life, and that's your life to live. It's fine. Don't complain when the NHS are on strike and you can't get seen and I'm in a private hospital in Saudi. That's your problem. You have to just make your decisions in life and live true to them. But creating a circle is ultra important. And it's not just important financially, it's also important for your entire life and your mindset as a whole. Because it's amazing, especially amongst men, we never want to be the poorest person in the room. We never want to be the weakest person in the room. You never want to be, so if you're with a group of killers, you have now this massive expectation. It's almost like societal pressure and a positive force. If I go to my friends, I can't be the weakling. If everyone does X amount of push-ups, I have to do them.
You might get dropped out.
Yes, well, you don't want to.
That's not happening.
You don't want to feel that way.
You talked about kickboxing. If I want to go learn kickboxing, I expect my coach to be able to fight. If I want to go learn piano, I want to see my piano teacher play piano.
Yeah.
But people will go to university and learn business from a dude who's never had a business, who's broke. It's just like, it's clown world. It's stupid. Yeah. Like, education's becoming decentralized, which is actually one of my products, so I'm going to talk about it. But education is becoming decentralized now with the internet, and the smartest thing you can do is look at somebody's life and go, this guy is living, or he's doing exactly what I want to do. I'll learn from him. That is the smartest thing you can do, as opposed to just going to these traditional educational systems.
You need to be out competing all the other people on the planet who are hyper competitive. And if you think you have 8 hours to sit there and just read a book, you are wasting your time. You are too slow and you are going to lose against people like me, because we're just too quick, too fast. Our networks are too various and large, and we make decisions too quickly and we absorb information too quickly, and you're just behind the time.
By the time you're done reading the book, the moves have been made.
But it's over, yeah. Game's over. Chess teaches you that if you lose, at some point you made a mistake. It doesn't matter if it's the smallest mistake. It doesn't matter if you just took too long to think to make the right move and you ran out of time on the clock. At some point, you've got for you to lose that game. It's 100% accountability with no luck. That's what's so important about learning chess. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, you need to, as a man, adopt the mindset that absolutely everything that happens to you is completely and utterly your fault, whether it's good or bad. And most men don't have that. Most men don't have that. When the Matrix was attacking me and they were destroying me, when they're calling up my exes trying to get fake charges on me and put me in jail, when they close my bank accounts and I use $10, $11 million, when they ban me across all social medias and lie about me, when they harass my family, I'm sitting there going, this is my fault. All of this is me. I got here. It's my fault. I'm not going, that was unfair. It was orchestrated. The NGOs worked against me. Because that is not helpful.
So it's accountability.
It's 100% accountability in all things. But also, when I go out there and I start the Bugatti, it's like, that's me. This is my fault. the car is my fault, and the big house is my fault, and everything that ever goes wrong is my
Successes
fault.
and the failures.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to take complete and utter accountability for everything. You can't make excuses ever.
Yeah.
There's never an excuse. And you're right. People try and put things on the outwards on the outside. It's interesting. I remember watching Forrest Gump about 5 years ago. I was on a plane. I can't remember where I was flying. And the beginning of Forrest Gump has a scene in it which I don't think many people actually have ever analyzed or anticipated or understood what the scene means. But when he's sitting on the bench at the beginning, think about Forrest Gump. He's sitting on the bench at the beginning and there's a feather blowing.
You nailed this shit.
Yeah.
And then it lands on him and the movie begins.
Yeah.
What they're saying with that is Forrest is the feather and life has just pushed him all over and put him in all these unusual scenarios. Life has directed him everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying.
Sure.
And if you're going to be the guy and you're going to allow life to happen to you and you're not going to happen to life, then you're at mercy of the wind. Perhaps it might work out okay, but it might not, right? So you have to be the guy who goes, okay, the wind's blowing in this direction, then I'm doing this. You have to come to life. You can't let life come to you, because if you let life come to you, then you're going to be living inside of a matrix and a system which is designed not for you to live your best life. It's designed for you to comply, and it's not for your benefit.
That's what it's really about. The whole world's about power. So when someone comes on TV and tells me I'm supposed to believe something, you need to believe this about the planet. You need to believe this about the gays. You need to believe this about this virus. You need to believe this. I sit there and I look at it and go, why do you want me to believe this?
Do you think,
why? It's a lot. And sorry, you got me started now. Sorry, bro. But it's like, why do you want me to believe this? Do you want me to believe this because it's good for me, or is it because it's good for you? Are the rules made for the benefit of me, or are they made for the benefit of the people who make the rules? And you sit there and you understand that all of it is programming. All of it is a lie. They want you to believe things that are not true, like go to university, get in debt, sit there, learn or get a degree, that they want you to believe all this crap so that you are as enslaved as they can make you. This is all they want.
I think that the entire world was built by this God-given drive to conquer. And to conquer doesn't always mean dominate others. You can conquer the sky by building a skyscraper. You can conquer by building roads. You can conquer by construction, not only by destruction. You conquer by turning up to a new territory and having a beautiful family and creating children. I think that's inside of every single man. I think it's been dumbed down by the Matrix, but I'm uninterested in fun. I don't understand the concept of fun. Fun is for women and children. All the women around me have fun. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad, ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know what, I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and we just walk in the hotel and staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. They want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're gonna sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're gonna have a shit life and nobody's ever gonna give a fuck and you're gonna perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I can possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It's against my creed. It's not in my DNA. Ignorant people can, to a degree, be happier in certain scenarios than others.
Good.
Yeah,
just
because they don't understand what's really happening.
Yeah.
They don't understand about the battle of good and evil. They don't understand about the Matrix. They don't understand that they're a slave. Yeah. They don't understand it. And they're ignorant to how good their life could be. So they think their life is good. I understand all that. But that all changes when times get hard. Because those people are not happening to life. Life is happening to them. And they are subject to
circumstances.
Correct. I'm not subject to circumstance. No matter what happens, I can change country. I can fight against the wind.
You are the circumstance.
I can disappear. I am the circumstance. Tate arrives and circumstances change. Whereas these people cannot do that. The circumstances dictates their life, and on a long enough time scale, especially in the world we're currently living in, I think that things are going to get a lot harder for these people, and they will see soon that ignorance is not bliss because they cannot pay their heating bill, whereas if they were less ignorant and paid attention, they'd be able to be living in a mansion like me with heating on full blast. So this is what happens.
I have hundreds of people who I talk to all doing this shit. Hey, Tate, have you seen this? Boom. And I'll throw him something, he'll throw me something. That's my ecosystem. That's who I talk to. Those are my friends. We don't talk about Rihanna. We don't talk about the football. We don't talk about Love Island. We don't talk about anything other tn money.
Yeah.
How are we not going to make hundreds of millions of dollars? How am I not going to have money? That's all we talk about. That's all we do. So I say this to people and say, when's the last time, we talked about the coffee shop example. I say this to people all the time. When's the last time you sat and talked about money? What do you mean? When's the last time you sat down with someone and talked about money? Well, what do you mean talk about money? Well, if you don't know what to talk about, then you don't understand money. So go learn how money works. Go learn how a bank works. Go sit on YouTube for free. You don't just pay 50 grand in 4 years at university. Go sit on YouTube and understand money, banking, or the real estate market, any of it. Understand the last housing price crash, why it happened. Understand mortgage rates and how that's affected by interest rates. Understand it, and then go sit with someone else who understands it and talk about it. Oh yeah, I should do that, yeah. Back to TV. Yeah. Dumbasses.
My kids are broke. They are brokies.
Yeah?
Yeah, because they ain't going to get the lessons any other way. You know what? It's actually different. So if I had a daughter, my number one concern wouldn't be spoiling her. Because I think spoiling a chick isn't even a bad thing, really. I don't think it affects their mentality nearly as much as a man. But the problem with spoiling a woman is, if she has too much access to money, a man's going to get hold of it. I've been around, bro. I know. If let's say I had a daughter and she's 18 and she has access to a bunch of money. Her boyfriend, whoever he is, if he has any game, is going to be in the club on my money, driving her fast car with no insurance.
PS5 paid for.
You know what I'm saying? She'll be buying him nice presents and shit. So that's what annoys me about the chick. So she can't have any money because I don't want some side dude getting it.
Yeah.
My son ain't going to get any money because I don't want him losing his hunger. I want him to grow up broke. I want him to go through all the struggles I went through. I want him to suffer. I want him to have that fire. Now, I had some major disadvantages due to the fact that I had absolutely zero access to money. My family was completely broke. So I will give him some advantages. Let's say like when I was a fighter and I was fighting and I couldn't pay the rent. If my son, when he wins his fight, I'll give him a financial bonus myself for winning. Okay. But he still has to go win.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? My kids are not going to be born into any kind of wealthy environment, into any kind of money. When I have children, I probably won't even raise them in a Western country because I think Western countries are soft. Bro, if I have boys, I want them growing up in deep Russia.
Hardcore ones.
Yeah, with like in the mountains with the goats. Like just running in the snow barefoot.
Khabib ones.
Yeah, I want monsters. That's what I want. I don't see the point in having to send them to some private school to sit around with a bunch of toffs.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I think the best education in the world comes from the streets and comes from hardship. I don't think a private school can teach my kids anything that I can't teach them or that they actually need to know. You know, so when I have children, their lives will be very, very hard.
So I think that as a man, your happiness comes from feeling respected over feeling loved. And the reason perhaps you're happy now is because you have more respect for yourself because of the decisions you're making, and you have self-respect.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of men, even if they have self-respect, if nobody else respects them, they're struggling.
If you're a person, if you're a man and you're out here and you go, you know what? Who do I want to be? I want to be strong and rich and brave and respected. Then I need friends who are strong and rich and brave and respected. That's what you need to do. If you're going to say, oh, I want to be these things, but I hang around with this guy because we play FIFA together, then you can stay a loser. And that is your decision. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for losers. I want to make this another thing clear that ends up on TikTok and everyone cries their eyes out. I don't give a solitary if you want to stay at the bottom of the societal totem pole. If I'm going to ignore how I feel day after day so I can perform, regardless of whether I'm sad, happy, pissed off, tired, if I'm going to get up and work anyway when I'm tired, how do you expect me to feel sorry for you because you didn't work when you were tired? If I don't care about my own emotions, I certainly don't give a solitary shit about yours. If you want to stay a loser, stay one. Good, it's fine. Stay a loser. I have no sympathy for you. I don't care.
Yeah. This is the thing that I don't truly understand. If I'm unhappy with something and I'm uncomfortable with something, I fix it.
Yeah.
That's endless motivation, which I don't truly believe in as a concept, but that's endless fuel for the fire.
Right.
If I was unhappy with something about myself, regardless of what it was, I would be able to take all of that discomfort and turn it into endless energy to get the problem fixed.
Yeah, exactly.
But these people seem to
it's okay to be unhappy.
Yeah, well, these people seem to sit and say, I'm really unhappy with X, but then stay doing X. So I don't believe they're truly actually unhappy. What you'll notice if you live life long enough is that somebody will sit and say to you, I'm unhappy being a loser. You say, why are you a loser? I just sit at home and play video games 7 days a week. And you're like, okay. And maybe 3 days of the week they're unhappy doing that.
Yeah.
And that's the time they email you and that's the time they want to make a change. But 4 days of the week, they don't really, it doesn't really bother them.
Yeah,
it doesn't really bother them. Because if it bothered them 7 days a week, guess what?
They would fix it.
Correct. Yeah. So I have very little sympathy for people. And that's not because I'm not a nice person, but it's because I've been so hard on myself and I've been through so many things that were difficult, and I've been through so much pain and trauma myself, some of it self-inflicted, some of it
given to me by God to make me a better person. But I've been so difficult on myself. It's very hard for me to look at somebody who's refused to be difficult on themselves and see them as my equal or feel sympathy or pity for them. Why would I feel pity for somebody who took the easy route when I took the hardest possible route? Yeah. I took the hardest possible way to be the man I am, and you were too big of a... And now you want me to feel sorry for you? I don't feel sorry for you. Yeah. I don't feel sorry for these people. And because as a man, you can be anything you decide you want to be. That's the beauty of being a male. You can build your character completely from the ground up, just like a video game. Every single thing about me that people respect, I built. I was not born a world champion kickboxer. I was not born this intelligent or intellectual. I was not born this rich. I was not born this strong. I was not born this confident. I was not born this interesting. I was not born this charismatic and humble and gorgeous and tall and strong and sexy. I was not born none of these things. I became these things myself. So I deserve all the spoils of war. And anybody who decides they don't want to work hard enough to become those things, then they deserve to sit and accept they're my inferior. Yeah. That's their problem.
The kind of people who are really genuinely upset by what I say are the kind of people who can't truly learn anything and become successful in life.
Yeah.
I obviously know what I'm talking about to some degree, right? So if Mike Tyson walks in here and tells you he's going to teach you how to box and says you can't fight, you're a pussy, if that upsets you, then you can't learn, right? It's Mike Tyson. Just shut up and listen. Yeah. If someone richer than me comes along and says, Andrew, you don't know shit, you're a dumbass and you're a brokey, I'm going to sit there and go, okay, maybe I'm a brokey, Elon. Tell me something, right? I'll listen. But if you're going to sit there and go, don't call me names and not listen, you're never going to get anywhere, right? You don't become the master unless you're very, very good at being a student. And I've always been very, very good at knowing when to shut up.
My entire life, I've always woken up thinking or feeling like I had an enemy to fight against. As long as I can remember, I've always had. I was a professional chess player when I was a kid. So when I was 4, I woke up and my dad was sitting there saying, you're playing this Chinese kid, he's good, right? So I always had that. Then I had professional fighting. I had 87 fights. So my whole life I had some fight coming up. And now I wake up and the Matrix is attacking me. So I've always woken up feeling like I had an enemy. Mm-hmm. And that certainly shaped my reality. It definitely shapes how I act and shapes how I think. I've always felt like I was in war, if that makes sense.
Have you ever felt like you were your own worst enemy?
No, in fact, quite the opposite. I've had a healthy fear and respect for all of my enemies to the point where I've understood the only chance I stand to beat them is to have as many allies as possible, and the most important ally is my own mind. Yeah. I have enough people who dislike me that I don't have the luxury of doubting myself. So even at the height of the cancellation, right, when they were coming at me with everything, and I haven't even told you some of the stuff they come at me with. I'm about to tell you this. It's a lot more scary than getting deleted from Instagram.
Sure.
When they were coming at me, absolutely, even the people close to me are going, you're dealing with this well. And I was like, I have now innumerable shadow figures trying to destroy me. If my brain betrays me, I'm really, right? Yeah. Like, I can't go down that path. So, no, it's actually completely the utter opposite. I've galvanized myself against internal enemies. Me and every single part of me is all on the same team. And it always will be. And I think that's because, like I said, my whole life I was battling against something and someone else.
One of the most terrifying but also gratifying things of life as a man is that we're all born relatively valueless. I don't think women are born that way. A woman, if she's born, especially if she's attractive, has an innate value. People just want her no matter what. But as a man, if you're not an important man, nobody gives a fuck about you, and they're never going to care. So you have to build yourself from the ground up, and that's scary for a lot of people, but it's also a massive opportunity. You can decide if you want to be a famous musician or a nice sensitive poet or a painter or a kickboxing world champion or a businessman. You get to decide on all the different characters in the video game. You can choose, who do I want to be? And then if you actually try, you can become it. Isn't that amazing? You can wake up and go, you know what? I want to be this kind of guy. I knew who I wanted to be. I want to be the dude pulling up in the Lambo, 3 a.m, gets out. Everyone's like, who is this big, strong, rich dude? I want to be that man, so I became him. And if you don't want that, if you want to go be a musician and play guitar and get a bunch of chicks and chill in Bali and smoke weed, whatever, go, you can choose your character and build it.
One of the best things about money is I've managed to create my reality absolutely. I don't talk to anyone I don't want to talk to. If you come to me and say, we can make $100 million, but I don't like your shirt, then you can get, that's my life now. Because I don't need money and I don't like you. So that's who I am, right? So I've created my reality, absolutely. And the number one thing I will not do is talk to negative people. I don't want to hear, I don't care what your story is. I don't care what happened. If all you do is complain, you are not around me. Because it is sticky. It's sticky to you, it's sticky to the universe. It leaves a residue. I don't want to hear it. Everyone around me is happy. And not only happy, we're the kind of people, if we're in a trench and we're getting shelled, we're laughing.
Yep.
We're like, missed! Woo-hoo. That's who we are. Bro, they just hit me with the largest Matrix attack on the planet.
I should be destitute and disappeared. Here I am on your podcast. I just pulled up in a brand new sports car. I'm like a cockroach, and you drop the nuke to kill everyone, and the cockroach crawls out with Top G on the back. It's all hilarious, bro. It's a joke. Human trafficking for TikTok. The whole thing's a joke, but here I survive. So you have to be that person. And even my brother and I in jail, sometimes we just look at each other. We'd be sitting there in jail. And sometimes we'd look at each other and just burst out laughing. Like, this is so ridiculous. But I don't have time for negative people. And especially when negative people come out with their sub stories, I guess I'm kind of fortunate that God has put me through so many difficult things. When people tell me their sub stories, I'm sitting there going, is that it? You're a f because of that? You should have seen what I had to do. Like, so I don't even want to hear it. I'm not interested in it. And you're right. You have to be careful who you're around because you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
I knew a guy who wanted to be a musician. And I'd meet him and say, how are things going? He'd go, bro, nearly finished my song and finished my album and we're going to make a lot of money. I was like, cool. 6 months later, I'd see him, how's things? Hey, bro, almost done with the album. I was like, it's been 6 months. An album? Yeah, but you don't understand. You got to mix the track. It takes time. Mixing a track. Okay, we have computers. What, 10 minutes? Okay. Two days. It's been 6 months, bro. Like, and I'd sit to him and say, it can't take this long. You're just smoking weed. You're not working. And he's like, no, you don't know. So I thought, okay, I'll make a track. So I made a song. I wrote some lyrics and hit a guy up, got a beat, got a mic. I know I'm not talented. Yeah. Talked, blah, blah, blah. I made a song in 2.5 hours. And I started releasing these songs I made in 2 hours. And it was just to spite that guy. Just to teach him a lesson about how speed works. It's funny because, obviously not because of my musical talents, but because of my influence everywhere else. I got millions of views on my videos. Yeah. So I beat him. Yeah. So like, how many views you got? Yeah. 0. And it's not because the songs are good, not because I think I'm a musical genius, but because I'm Tate. But they're like an hour, 2 hours. I threw them together, and it was just a lesson in speed to make sure that I wasn't making any mistakes. When he was telling me it genuinely took months, I knew he was wrong, but the only way you truly know is to do. So I was like, this has to be a lie. So I made a song in 2 hours, I made a video in 3 hours, and boom, boom. From 9 a.m. till 1 p.m., bang, millions of views, done. And he's still talking about his album. He's probably still talking about it today. It probably doesn't even exist. Comes out tomorrow. Yeah, be ready.
It's coming.
Yeah. Look, everyone loves passive money, right? I make money as I sleep. Yeah. I get it. You need to de-link your time to your money, because if you're only working for money, you run out of time, you can't make enough money. I understand all those principles. My point is, if you have no money and you're coming to me saying, I want to make passive income, why are you not making active income? Get up off your ass and work first. Because there's no such thing as completely, truly 100% passive. You're gonna have to check on it. You're gonna have to maintain it. You're gonna have to find a new tenant for that property. You're gonna have to make sure that DeFi crypto farm you're in doesn't go to zero. It's not a rug pull. Yeah. You're always gonna have to keep an eye on it, right? But the idea that people with no money are already so concerned with making money without work is amazing to me. You should be worried about active income. If you show me, if I'm a brokey, and you show me how to make $1,000 an hour, I don't sit there and go, okay, but how can I make that passive? I go, cool, I'm making $18,000 a day because I'm gonna work. Dude, you don't need to worry about passive income until you have no more time. I look at passive income because I have 18 hours a day I work. When all 18 of those hours are done and my workload still isn't finished, I have to find a way to make some of those income streams passive, either via staff or whatever else. Yep. And that's how I work smart. I use all of my time, and when all my time is done, now I have to become more efficient so that I can get more done within the same time frame. To sit there and say, I don't want to use my time, so I want passive income is dumb shit. The 16-year-old making 45 grand a month, if he was to sit to me and go, I don't want to make the TikToks, I want someone else to do it, make it passive, that he wouldn't be making any money. He's just working. You have to just work. At some point you have to bite the bullet and just work. So when someone comes to me talking about passive income and they're a brokey, I'm like, you are just lazy. You are lazy. You will never get anywhere. Lazy people never get anywhere in life, doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's tennis or money. If you're lazy, you're never going to get there.
I feel uncomfortable with a lot of money in my bank. So that's another thing. Like, I'm now at the point where I don't really carry money at all. I don't have any way of paying for things because anytime I'm anywhere, I'm with like my PA or my security team, whatever. So it's almost weird how quickly you get used to like walking in somewhere, eating, and just walking out. I don't pay, and someone else sits and pays for me.
Sorts it.
So it's weird. I don't pay for anything. I don't have any money. I don't have any of that stuff anymore because
that sounds like true freedom, though. You don't have to worry about the money at all.
I don't look at the price of anything. I don't look at the price of anything. If a new car launches and I want it, I just say, give me this. And
sort it.
Yeah, literally, give me one. What options? All of them. Just tick every box, buy. And cars turn up at the house that I've forgotten I've bought, and
When did you reach that level of wealth? Was it within the last couple of years, or were you at that stage beforehand?
I was always fairly well off, but in the last, I'd say last 3 years, I got to a point where money is truly not real. Money has no value whatsoever for me anymore. So if I want something, I'll just buy it.
What do? Starting from scratch, you're in London, you got nothing, you got no contacts, you're not in your war room, and you need to make £10,000.
I've never done it before. However, you'd have to start with selling something.
Yeah.
You'd have to start with becoming the middleman of something, and you have to start by taking a commission. That's the first thing you can do. Like the London dropped in the middle of zero and doing it physically, I'm not sure. I think no matter where I was dropped, I would turn to the internet, no matter what.
Okay.
I think that, because the internet's just a global marketplace, it's just so much better. I'd find somebody with, okay, so let's say I had nothing, right? I'd find somebody with star power, like you, for example. I'd come along, I'd drop you an email and say, listen, I want to put something together. I believe I can help you sell more. I am hoping if I show you I can sell more, you'll give me X amount of commission, X amount percent. I understand you have star power, you have something I don't have. You can talk in front of the camera, you can attract people, you can entertain people. What are you currently selling? You're selling this. Okay, if I bring X amount of 1,000 people, will I be able to get this percent? That's what I would do. I think that if I didn't have the ability to sit on a camera and entertain, I would find somebody who does, and I would be the blood and guts beneath the show business.
Interesting.
And that's the easiest way to get rich in the world today.
So you'd find someone that's got an existing product or service.
Correct.
And then you would help them sell it and promote it.
Absolutely and utterly. That's the easiest way to get rich today, especially because commission only, nobody's afraid of saying yes to.
What's made me the most money is the War Room. The War Room is a private members organization that I run. So when I first got when I got extremely wealthy, I wanted to know where I kind of felt like I'd gone to outer space expecting to see aliens, and I got there and there were none.
No aliens.
I was like, where is everybody? Okay, I'm rich, but I expected once I became rich to meet other men who were rich, focused, intelligent, had their dating lives in order, their physical health in order, their finances in order, their connections in order. And I got to the top of the mountain, and I looked around and realized nobody had it. Like, yeah, this guy's rich, but he's cucked by his wife and he's fat. This guy's rich, but he's controlled by the Matrix. This guy's rich, but he's dummy. He just made a bunch of money making music, rap. He's an idiot. This guy's rich. Like, there was nobody who had it all. I was like, and I wanted a network of genuine predators. I wanted the Freemasons almost. I thought I didn't want to join their organizations. But
you wanted people like you.
I wanted people like me. So I started an organization to find those men. If you spend all of your time sitting around people who talk about how to become powerful and influential and rich, guess what you're going to end up being? Powerful, influential, and rich. So now I have the greatest network on the face of the planet. And when I say it's maybe the most money, it's not because of the membership fee. The membership fee is very low. It's cheap. It's because of the opportunities and connections inside of the War Room. And that's why I am ultra competitive, and that's why nobody will ever beat me. If you're an individual and you wake up and think, I want to make my life better, and you spend 8 hours reading a book, that's fine. When I wake up to maybe 25 messages from some of the most influential and rich people on the planet that you've never heard of, telling me, buy this now, this is an opportunity to make money on the Russian ruble, this is an opportunity to make money here, this is an opportunity to make money on this land, this is what's going down in Iraq, here we have an opportunity in Nairobi, and I'm sitting there going, okay, and I have got all this curated information and genuine opportunities in real time presented to me, and within 15 minutes, I've made a $5 million investment. You're on page 1. You're still reading your book.
The introduction.
You're still reading. You're still reading the introduction. And this is why, against people like me and my network and the other people inside the War Room, you will always lose. So the War Room's maybe the most money, but not because of membership fees or anything like that, because of the genuine connections and opportunities inside of the War Room. And we're just free minds. Anybody who listens to what I say and agrees with it and likes it should understand that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
100%.
And if you know that, then you need to make sure you're not spending time with anybody you don't want to be. And if you learn and absorb and you're in the right place, then you can do fantastically well. So the War Room, I mean, with the War Room network now, I could never be broke ever again. I think the world would be a terrible place if everyone had a free mind. You do need the slave minds.
I've heard you say that.
As annoying as they are, you do need the slave minds. You do need the guy who believes that, working in the gas station is important and he's good at it. You need him. It's good. You need these people.
Yeah, but what if that guy just doesn't know any better, though?
It's good.
Or he's
Good, fine. The world can't all be
mansions in Palm and Dubai. They can't all be that. So successful is all about self-definition, which is what I was saying at the beginning. You have to decide who you want to be. And if you wanted to be Joe Schmo and you pull it off, then you'll be a pretty happy, content person. Decide who you want to be. I think the people who are miserable, it's the gap between their expectations and their reality. That's where the misery lies. Yeah. My expectations were always enormously high. Even when I was a nobody, I knew I had to be filthy rich and a kickboxer, and I knew I had to be the kind of guy that people gave a shit.
Were you happy at that point?
I know, but I knew I'm basic things. At the age of 15, I knew that if I'm the kind of guy that if I raise my voice, people are going to care. I'm not going to be the guy who starts shouting and everyone thinks it's funny. I know I'm going to be the kind of guy who's genuinely a formidable opponent in all realms of human endeavor. I know I'm going to have money. I know I'm not going to take shit.
Where did that come from, though?
But you can't just. Yeah, I know.
I understand what you're saying, because my whole life I felt like there's always more. I know that there's more.
But I think a lot of people have that.
Of course. But the people who are miserable are the people who don't try hard enough to obtain it, because I actually believe, and this is another thing I'll say, I believe the universe is very giving. I think the universe and God himself is very giving. I've yet to meet somebody in all my years who is genuinely giving 100% of themselves day after day, doesn't snake anyone, firm handshake, look you in the eye, doesn't lie to nobody, and tries 100% who doesn't get what they want. I've never seen it. Every single person who doesn't have what they want, there's something in their story that doesn't quite add up. I've yet to see some guy have you ever seen a guy who eats right, and trains his ass off, and never misses a gym session, ever not grow?
No,
ever.
No, never.
Not what? Not what?
Grow.
Not grow. Not make
ever.
gain.
It's just, that's the way the universe works, right? So if you're truly about it, and you're truly trying your absolute best, you're going to do it. And that's what I believe. I believe the universe is extremely giving. So when I meet somebody and they go, I really wanted this and I don't have it, I say, you didn't really want it. You're a liar. I don't understand, or I don't fathom the concept of fun. I don't wake up and think, what can I do for fun? I don't wake up and think, what is fun? I want fun. That never crosses my mind. I wake up and think, I have things to do. And if I don't have things to do, I'll find things to do. You can always do more work. There's no such thing as no work to do. After this podcast is done, you can release it. And you can make X amounts of clips. That's going to be done. And then you could watch it back, and you could analyze every word you've ever said, and you could find a way to say it differently. You could look at a dictionary and find new words, and you could learn them, and you can memorize them all. Then you could sit down and you could rehearse it and use those words and sentences to make sure you pronounce them correctly and you don't make any mistakes. Then you could always do more work from the same thing. The work is never ending. The money is never ending.
So you have to find joy in your work.
You have to find purpose, at least. I don't know if I even find joy in my work, because I'm stressed and annoyed. I'm furious all the time. What do you mean we've made $1.3 million today? It's a joke. Flip the computer. But you have to conquer the earth.
And that's another thing about opportunities, right? Because you have to be positioned to take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
It's like in chess, they say good moves come from good positions. It's true. You can't find a good move from a terrible position, right? If you're sitting at home with no money, it's hard to invest in Bitcoin at $1. It doesn't matter what it goes to, right? You got to be in a good position to take advantage of things. So you've always got to be in a position where you have a good network, you have good information, you have some kind of liquid money, you have the ability to survive without that money, you can take a risk. Like, it's hard to set yourself up. I'm in a position now where I'm in the NBA. I'm an NBA player. I can never go broke again. So it doesn't matter, right? Once you're in the NBA, I can throw $1 million at something. It doesn't matter if it works or not. So for me, it doesn't make a difference. And that's why it's so much easier. They always say the first million is the hardest, and they're completely right. Once you get to a certain point, you can gamble to a degree.
Yeah. I don't want to sound, airy-fairy, but I truthfully believe that the universe is a giving place, and that if you actually really want something, you can have it. How much you want is how much you're prepared to sacrifice. So if you want $500,000 a year, you can definitely make that. And that level of stress you'll absorb for that money and the amount of headache you'll go through, if that's the amount you're prepared to accept for a happy life, you'll have it.
Do you think anyone can do that, though?
I think that you have to pre-decide, right? So even my level of wealth comes with enormous stress. Governments are after me. Like most people are not mentally prepared for the bullshit I go through. So the number one factor that's going to decide how successful you are as a person is your ability to absorb stress, your stress level. The better you are at dealing with stress, the more problems you can fix, the more money you're going to make.
What I'm doing now at my stage of my life is buying power. So I thought I wanted to be rich. I didn't want to be rich. I wanted to be free. You're only free with power. And in the American political system, it's a perfect example of lobbyists and lobbying.
Yeah.
So they will lobby for things. They'll come along and say, I'll give you an example. Why are there no high-speed trains in America? America's huge and rich. High-speed trains would be fantastic for America, but the rail network is basically non-existent. The reason is because the oil companies lobby both political parties to make sure that they don't build trains, everyone drives. Long highways, it's good, sells a lot of gasoline. That's what they want. So once you get to a certain level of money, you realize you want political friends. So you're like, okay, I want this law, or I want this law to work this way. Or I just want someone I can call if this happens to me. And you just start giving a lot of money away, effectively. And you're trying to buy power, and that's the way it's always worked. That's what these huge corporations and companies do.
Well, the thing is with reading a book is it's a reward without any risk. And this is why I think a lot of people are proponents of reading, and they say reading, because nothing can really go wrong besides wasting your time in life, of course, but they don't believe that. I am a much larger proponent of larger risks and larger rewards. If you want to learn about self-help, if you want to understand yourself and see what kind of man you really are and learn how to fight through adversity and learn how to get up when life's difficult and learn how to control your mind and learn how to struggle, then you can go to the boxing gym and you can get your ass kicked. You do not need to read any books. You need to get in the gym, walk in there and say, I'm going to fight the best fighter here every single day and not quit until you can eventually beat him. But most people are not man enough for that. So instead they'll read a self-help book and they'll sit there and try and talk to me about mindset. I learned my mindset in battle. My mindset is 87 professional fights. My mindset was learned in the reality of the real world. I don't need to read a self-help book. I don't need to read about motivation or confidence. I've been in the cage smashing people's faces in. I don't need to learn any of that stuff. So I learned in reality, and reality is always going to be a better teacher than a book, because you're not learning when you read books. You're regurgitating. You may be reading, but I don't believe you're truly learning. My coach used to say, if it doesn't hurt, you didn't learn. And I think he's completely right. And it's the same with entire life. You see people make the same mistake over and over again until it eventually goes really wrong. And it's only then they'll change.
Then they change.
So absolutely. So I learned how to become self-disciplined and become self-motivated and work hard, and I learned how to face adversity and find strength within myself I didn't know I had, because people were trying to kill me inside of a cage, and you cannot replicate that by reading pages of a book. So it's a waste of time.
There's a study I read about stress, and it was saying that stress has a placebo effect attached to it, because the placebo effect is extremely powerful. So they found some of the most stressed people in the world, and they split them into two groups. And they're all equally stressed. They all have a bunch of cortisol in their blood. The people who believed that stress was bad for you and that stress can hurt you, and they believed those media articles, were dying earlier. They were having heart attacks and having stress-related illnesses. The people who believed the opposite, who just said, stress is part of being successful, I like stress. When I feel stressed, I do my best. It makes me anxious. It turns my brain on. I like being stressed. Lived longer than average. The point is, the same drug, how you look at it and how your body anticipates it, how you feel about it, affects the real world results. I don't think motivation is a real thing. I don't believe in motivation as a concept. I think discipline is real, and I also think discontentment is real. And I don't think it's possible for anybody to stay in a scenario where they're truly uncomfortable. If you fall asleep on your arm and your arm really starts to hurt, even in the deepest sleep, you're going to wake up and move your arm. If you sit there and your life has been in a rut for 7 years, you are semi-comfortable in that rut. Sure, there's days you're pissed off. Sure, you're semi-annoyed by it, but there's also days where you just play video games, eat pizza, and you're kind of cool with it and it's no big deal. If you were truly unhappy and uncomfortable and discontent with your scenario, you wouldn't be in it. So I don't believe there's anybody who's truly, when I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'm not saying that, please understand me. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I'd be trying to go to bed thinking, how these people have Ferraris. I want a Ferrari. I couldn't sleep.
If I had to open a coffee shop, if I sit in a coffee shop, right? If I sit in Starbucks, the whole time I'm in there, not only am I thinking about how they got the money from me and how much I spent, I'm thinking about how I could outcompete them. I'd sit there and go, okay, cool. I'm in Starbucks. I spent £5.68. I got a latte and I got a donut, and I'm sitting here. And that business place, that commercial property right across the street is available for lease. How could I outcompete this coffee shop which just took my money? What's the profit margin on this £5.68? How much did this cost them? The coffee, pennies. Donut, 30p maybe, right? How much is the staff? They pay the staff minimum wage £8 an hour. So I've already paid 30 minutes work from that broker, the wage. She's there for another 30 minutes for free, right? How much is the rent? How much is the business rates? If I had to open up there, how would I attract people to come into my shop as opposed to their shop? They got a big brand name. I'm brand new. Okay, well, the bitch working here is ugly. My one's going to be hot. Boom, that's the beginning. Next thing, do they have any signage outside? No, I'm going to try and put some signage outside. Do they have parking? No, I need parking. But when you just start thinking about how you can convince people to give you their money as opposed to giving it to the places they already give it.
Different analytics.
And once you do that, people say, I can't think of how to make money. If you start doing that for a year and just keep a notepad, you'll have 100 ideas of how to make money. You'll sit there and go, there's a place here that's doing this and we can do it better this way. This place online is doing this, we can do it better this way. And then to get them all done, what do you need? Network. You need people. It's all about people. Then you need to either go in the war room if you want to join, or have your people around you and say, okay, we can make money with this. Who's going to do it? Who's not lazy? Who's getting up at 4 a.m. tomorrow? Boom, let's get it done. So there's unlimited ways to make money, but most people go through life and their money is taken from them and they don't even identify how it got How they got tricked out of it.
They're just happy with it.
Yeah, they just have. How did I spend 16 grand in Cirque last night? Oh, because my ass got drunk. How'd they get me drunk? Well, because the guy, when I first bought the first bottle of champagne, was there on the table, pouring, putting it in my hand, got me drunk, then I spent 16 grand on bottles. That's how they got my money. So if I open a club, I need to make sure when people first come in, they get hammered. Nobody thinks about it that way. Nobody thinks, how did they get that out of me? Right? Why am I spending $2,000 for dinner in Novikov? Is it the food or is it the fact that I'm in Novikov and tag myself in Novikov? You have to identify how you're getting famoosed, how you're getting finessed. That's how you do it. But most people just walk through life getting finessed left, right, and center, giving all their money up. Oh, how did that happen?
You got to learn to finesse other people.
Yeah, but it's not finessing in a negative way.
It's in a good way.
It's a good way. You have to take money from other people. That's the only way you're going to make money. Yeah. You have to take it. There's a pimp, and he said a really intelligent line. He said, "Business is just other people's money." That's all business is. I want to start a business, so you want other people's money. That's what you want. So how are they going to give it to you? You have to think about it. Nobody thinks about it. And the easiest way to think about it is to think how you're giving yours away. That's a mental model you should adopt. Yeah. And you'll end up with loads of business ideas. Business ideas are everywhere. It's just execution which is difficult.
Your ability to speak freely is directly correlated to your insignificance. When nobody listens to you, you can say what you want. If you get a platform and start talking, you will learn very quickly how you're not allowed to say what you want because people are listening. You're free to talk in an empty room. You're not free to talk to millions of people who are paying attention to you. So what we have now in the West is a society which is only linked and only bound by this false idea of freedom.
So I'm now at a point where, and my attitude to money, I want to make something clear, is relatively unhealthy. I have no respect for money. There are people who are much smarter with money than me. I don't have any respect for money at all. I don't believe in saving money. And I think a lot of that is down to I'm not advocating people to be like this. It's my life philosophy and the fact that I don't live in any realm of fear at all. I can't imagine myself not being able to make more. I can't ever be poor. And if I wanted something now that took every penny of my net worth, then I would buy it. I'll give you an example. I have an 812 Superfast, a Ferrari. I love it very much. They've released
very nice.
Yep, they've released the 812 Superfast Competition. They've released the competition version. Instead of 400 grand, it's 1.6 million, which is a big difference for a bit of a body kit. And I want one in Europe and I want one in Dubai, so I bought two. So I bought $3.2 million of Ferraris. Should I have done that? Well, yeah, I can. But my point is, I'm happy to just spend money. Don't give a shit, right? But that's down to my faith in myself. So when you're asking how much of my income is disposable, in my mind, all of it. I don't give a shit. I have a lot of money left because I can't possibly spend it, but I'm happy to spend all my money. What really matters are the systems you build, the robust systems. If you have a robust system that's guaranteed to pay you $50,000 a day, and it always will, and you have faith in it, and you're working hard and you're on top of it, and it's gonna pay you at 9 a.m. every morning 50 grand, you can spend 50 grand a day if you wanted to. You may not want to, but you could. So for me, all of my money is disposable. I don't have a clue how much money I have. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much money I had. I had 117 pound in the NatWest, and that was it. I'm poor, rent's paid, I ain't got nothing else. When I was broke, I knew exactly how much I had. But now I'm at a point where it gets really difficult to truly measure how much money I have, because you have cash, okay, that's easy. I have some crypto, which is constantly fluctuating, and then you have assets, and the price of the assets is constantly fluctuating. And then I have companies and income streams, which need to be valued. And how do you value them, right? They can be an 8 times multiplier in some circumstances, and others they'll be a 10 times multiplier. So it's really difficult for me to put a value on it. If you were to say to me, how much money do I have in the bank? But then even then, so I've got to be careful what I say on this podcast. But even then, once you have a healthy respect for money, once you get past a certain amount of money, you don't need it in the bank. Like there's no point in me having 50M liquid in the bank. Why? What am I going to buy? You know, you're like, as long as you have whatever you have in the bank to run around the world with, you have enough. So you try and put that money to use, right? You buy assets, XYZ. So it's really difficult.
Most people don't deserve to be proud of themselves. And that's the truth. A lot of people say, oh, I have confidence issues. And I say, if I was you, I would have confidence issues. Of course. I completely understand why you have confidence issues. You're a dork. But we have to be realistic here. We have to be absolutely and utterly realistic, because the world is brutal and it's harsh. If you're not proud of yourself, you probably don't deserve to be proud of yourself, so you're not going to feel happy. And you just talked about confidence. Confidence comes from competence. The reason I'm confident is because I'm good at everything. Right. I'm good at everything I do. The things I'm not good at, I'm not confident in, of course, and I know what they are. I don't do them very often. I've now created my reality to the point where I don't do anything I'm not good at.
You just hire.
I either hire or I just don't want to do it. Like I don't play darts.
Yeah. I'm not good at darts, right? I do what I'm good at. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm absolutely and utterly confident because I'm absolutely and utterly competent, and that takes practice and discipline and motivation, and you need to fail a few times, you need to get up, and like I said earlier, when I learned my entire mindset in professional fighting and chess, the two combined, that's how it comes down to. And when people say, oh, I have competence issues, usually I can look them up and down and say, yeah, if I was you, I would completely and utterly struggle with confidence issues. Because the world is competitive, and there's men like me on the planet and friends like mine on the planet, and you're competing against us for money, for girls, for status, for resource, and you're going to be destroyed and decimated the entire time. So of course you have confidence issues when you can be annihilated in real time by the competitor. Yeah. Why wouldn't you have confidence issues? You'd be psychopathic not to. I don't even know the story of the 4-minute mile, but when everyone was running, long distance running, everyone said a 4-minute mile was impossible. And everyone was attempting it was impossible. And then one guy did it one day, and after he did it, 10 people did it in like 3 weeks. Yeah. And it's like the belief. So I think a lot of people when they're canceled go, I'm done. Now, nobody else has I will sit here and openly say my network and the things I do and the unique way I approach it and the war room and the organization I have and the money I have and the influence I have is unique. Most people don't have that. However, people will have the morale to go, I've been canceled, but you know what? I'm not quitting. Doesn't matter. I'm not giving up. All right, just make a new account. Bang, back to work, back to work, back to work. And on a long enough scale, if enough people do that, there will be inertia and momentum behind it, which will make a shift in the universe. It will attack the matrix in real time. It's belief.
I have a question.
It's belief. You must believe.
I believe in you.
You must no, but you must believe. I believe in themselves.
You, bro.
That's Andrew. The key. Net worth is subjective, like we just discussed. I think it's more about how much and I don't even think it's how much money you have in the bank, because you can tear through any amount of money. It's how much money you're earning.
Okay.
I think a good life costs about $1 million a month.
Wow. That's a big figure.
$1 million a month is a good life. $500,000 a month is doable, and you can still live good. But if you want to really truly live like the best human experience, it costs about $1 million a month.
And is that earned income or income with your assets increasing?
That's income that you have coming into the bank that you can spend.
Okay, that you're taxed on as well. So it's slightly less than that, but
depending where you pay tax.
When I started my business, I was told by my mentor, what you've got to have a good life is 100,000 a month. That was 36 years ago.
Well, it's pretty similar now, maybe inflation and stuff, but I can give you, it depends on the way you're living, right? Because I told this story before on another podcast, but Dan Bilzerian messaged me and he said, look, let's hang out. I was like, all right, cool. And I was in Bucharest, he was in France. So by the time, I only wanted to go see him for a day. So by the time I got the jet, I wanted my security team to come. So I had to get the force security team, and they came and obviously had to pay their wage. And I put the cars on the truck to make sure they were waiting for me there in case we would decide to go for a spin. And then I landed with the security team, and everyone needs hotels. It's 8 people in a 5-star hotel. And then you're on the ground. You have to rent these V classes, armored ones to look after you. And you go, you see Dan, you talk to him for an hour, you have dinner, and then everyone gets back on the jet. By the time I saw Dan in a 48-hour whirlwind, by the time we moved the cars, which I didn't drive, and security came, etc., you spend $400,000. You spend $400,000 to go see your friend.
But it's very difficult for a government to even pretend to give a shit about the average person to me, because I understand how all this works. So the government comes along and decides to give out free money. The average person in the middle or at the bottom goes, wait, free money, government cares about the poor person. No, they don't. Let's keep it very simple. Let's say they gave every person in the UK £1,000. They're either going to save that money, or they're going to spend that money, or they're going to, let's say, invest that money. If they spend that money, which is what 90% of them would do, it goes to corporations, making the corporations filthy rich. The stock price of Amazon during COVID went to the moon, because everyone's sitting at home bored, just buying stuff, right? So there's less corporations than there are people. So let's say you give everyone in the UK £1,000. A lot of that money goes to one guy, Jeff Bezos. The rich get richer, just like before. Let's say they invest it. Well, they're going to invest it in what? The stock market? Well, that increases the share price of companies. Who owns companies? Rich people. Let's say for somehow 200 of these people are best friends and they're never going to argue, and they get together and they get £200,000 and they buy a house, for example. That's still going to raise the price of housing on that street. The house owners, the homeowners are going to get richer. The people who already own things, the asset owners, are always going to get richer. No matter what you do, the people who are poor are always going to get poorer, and the asset owners are always going to get richer.
Yeah.
And it's running away now to a point where the chance of buying a home on the average salary is near on impossible. I mean, you know some hacks, you know some things about it, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know how people are surviving on this money.
I still very much understood. Any business I'm going to launch from now on out, I need to find a way to get attention. Not in a negative way, not in an attention-seeking way, but that's what advertising is.
Yeah,
how
you need
do
to get
I
yourself out there?
Yeah, how do I get attention in the world today, which is difficult? And then once I get that attention, how do I monetize it?
Yeah.
Because that's the world we now live in. Rihanna, when she launches a makeup brand, no one buys it because of the makeup. They buy it because it's Rihanna. She has attention. She can monetize it any way she chooses. Rihanna can launch a clothing brand, makeup, sofas. Who cares? It's Rihanna. Yeah. She's going to sell, right? So that proves that we now live in an economy, we live in a world where the most valuable currency, the most valuable thing that exists is attention. It's extremely difficult to get because people's attention spans are lower than ever.
Yep.
Bro, they're non-existent. Have you ever watched someone on TikTok? Next time someone's on TikTok, watch them. Because I don't have a TikTok account myself, but I see people on it. How long do they give a video to interest them? Maybe a third of a second? They're like...
Not interested enough, move on.
Bro, that quick. If you don't get my attention in 0.25 seconds, I'm not interested, right? That's how hard it is now. So, and it's getting harder and harder because the apps and the algorithms are retraining our brains to do that.
Yeah.
So now we live in a world where if you can find a way to hack these algorithms and you can find a way to get attention, and there's lots of different ways to do that, then you can find a way to monetize it, and off the back of that, you can become a very, very wealthy individual.
Just do it all at once. I mean, that's what I do. I've had people come into my office and say, are you on a phone call and playing chess and reading a web page at the same time? I'm like, yes. I'll be reading what I need to read and on the phone and at the same time playing chess. Otherwise, my brain's not full enough.
You need to be stimulated.
Yeah. So, yeah, can I focus on one thing? Not easily. But am I massively successful doing enormous amounts of work? Yes, every single day.
Yeah,
so
that's the most important thing.
It's just staying within the parameters of constructive. If what you're doing with your energy is constructive and you're within those parameters, then you're going to be massively successful anyway.
I am scared about the fact that someday someone's going to say, you know what, this guy's causing too much problems or he has too much influence. Can he just...
Why wouldn't they do that already?
Can he just crash his car? Can his jet just crash? Can we just get rid of this guy? Because it fixes a lot of issues. And then you have to sit and say, is my life worth more than the trouble I'm causing to these people? They don't give a shit about me. They don't give a shit about anybody. So you do get to a position where it's scary, and then you have to sit and decide, well, do I want to sell my soul to the devil and cuck? Or do I want to just shut up and disappear, which is also cucking? Or do you want to live for something? And do you want to die as a name as opposed to a number?
People who are still dependent on the system will fight to defend the system. There are people who I will sit there and say to them, look, your university degree is a scam. They lied to you. I will show you how to make money. And their reply will be, no, I went to a good university. They are desperate. No, that degree means something. You work in Greg's, G. Doesn't mean, and shut up. They won't accept it, right? So certain people are not ready for the truth. People who are ready for the truth seek it and they find it.
Well, also, there's no light without dark, and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain.
Exactly.
And no matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends, and you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. Mm-hmm. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness.
Yeah.
As long as I'm alive, which is a struggle, unfortunately, in the current climate, but as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do.
A lot of the time women get in the way. I've seen it a million times, bro. I've seen women get in the way of partnerships like that so many times. Because women don't like you having a strong masculine network because then you don't need them. They want you to need them. I'll help you. I'll be your partner. Bro, that's the biggest mistake. Don't even get me started. Biggest mistake you can make as a man is trying to start business with your wife or some shit. That's a headache.
Why is that?
Bro, I don't know who I'm going to offend or upset now, but this is how it goes. Because now you got two different battles. You got the relationship you're trying to be in control of, and I got to deal with the business as well. Now, it's different if you run the business and you hire her, and she does a little bit of admin. Cool, that's fine. But I'm talking about, let's say...
50-50 business partners.
Yeah, let's say your chick goes, I want to open a beauty salon. And you pay for her to open a beauty salon. And now this beauty salon, you've put $1 million of your money in it. And it's not open on a Thursday. You're like, why isn't it open on Thursdays? Oh, I had a headache. You mean you had a headache? Bro, I just spent $1 million. Yeah, but Claire's sick and I have a headache. And now you got the relationship, it's all messed up. This bitch is lazy. She thought it'd be a Sex and the City episode where she just drinks lattes and makes money. And she realized she had to actually do shit. You know what I mean? It's all getting messy there. Whereas when you're with your boys and let's say you invest $1 million in something, it's not open on Thursday, you can go to his house and say, what's wrong with you? Don't be a bitch. You're men. Yeah. You could just say, look, we need to open. You can't do that with chicks. It's hard. So even now, I've got 45 people who work for me, and not a single one is a female, not one.
I've said this story before, but I'll say it again. When I was growing up in Luton in England, which is a highly Islamic town, there's lots of Muslims who live there. I was friends with some Muslim guys in college, and they used to laugh at me all the time. One of them was like 19, worked in Tesco and had a Ferrari. I was like, bro, how do you have a Ferrari when you work in I think he worked in a chicken and chip shop. He worked in like a fast food restaurant and had a Ferrari. I was like, how do you have a Ferrari when you work in a fast food restaurant? He said, because I got 9 brothers and we all work together and we share the car. I was like, okay, well, why do you share the car? He said, no, you don't understand. I won't use the racial slurs, but he was like, you people, there's you and your 3 brothers. You all grow up, you all decide to get with your girl, you all go pay different rents, you all disappear, all your money gets spread out now, you're taking your girl on holiday and paying a different rents, and you're all separate. Me and my 9 brothers live in one big house. If we meet a woman, she moves into the house. The men are all focused on making money, the women are all looking after us, cooking, cleaning. You got 9 men in the same house trying to pool their incomes. That's why we own the houses you rent from us. It's different, brotherhood first, it's different. You people don't think that way. You fall in love. You fall in love with some bitch and you run off, you go pay her rent.
Sure.
It's like a different mentality, and that's why they win.
You're never going to be truly happy in your mind if you go against the teachings of God. I don't care how much money you make. If you're a bad person, you're not going to feel happy. I don't care how much money you make. If you snake people or lie to people or do bad to people, you're never going to feel happy true deep in your heart. True in your heart, we're intrinsically designed to do right and do good. And that's something that God gave us. And when you have that, you understand that that's more important than anything else.
Yeah, like truthfully, I just want to, the last thing I'm going to say, and the reason I do these podcasts is I actually think the world is quite a bleak place for men nowadays. I think that the societal path they've laid out for most men is a sad one. I think that all men like the idea of conquest and like the idea of being high status and being rich, and they're telling you that you shouldn't be those things and you shouldn't do those things. You should just go to school, get a wife, sit at home, happy wife, happy life, and it's depressing and it's unhappy. And I promise everyone that there is a degree of happiness, but as a man, that happiness comes from freedom. And freedom does require money at some level. And you're going to have to get out there and get paid if you want to be free as an individual. And once you're free, you're going to be happy.